Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Skillful Sitdowns. Sadly, I recorded an episode with a buddy of mine named Hayden Watson. We had an awesome conversation about spiritualism and religion, and then it got deleted. I really messed up, and then I had to factory reset my PC. Long story short, everything got lost. So I'm in the process of remaking things and getting things done. Sadly, this happened on a Saturday night, and I usually post on Sunday nights. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually sit down and answer a bunch of questions I've been asked by my friends, family, and people on Twitter and social media. One of the first questions is super simple, like, who am I? Well, my name's Jacob, Skillful Hitman on all my platforms, basically. Twitter's Jacob Ski 10. And I am a person that loves video games. I love politics. I love talking to people. I'm really weird. My background is my mother is a hairdresser, a business owner, and my father is a policeman. My dad's been a policeman for like 27 years. My mom's been a business owner for 10, I think. A small business owner. So I've had a lot of diversity in my life to where it comes from people's viewpoints and how people think, and just been around a very diverse crowd ranging from my grandparents on one side is super far left, and my grandparents on the other side are super far right. That family dynamic has allowed me to grow up in a family to where there's always constant civil conversation or arguments. That has shaped me into a person I am today. So who is that person? Well, I'm the ASU president of my high school. I'm the captain of the debate team. Been on debate for 4 years. This is my final year. I went to state. I did better than expected, but I didn't do well. I'm a person that loves video games. My favorite video game right now is League of Legends. We'll get into my favorites here in a minute, but I love video games. I'm friends. I try to be friends with every single person I can. I try to be super talkative. I try to be super out there, but always we fall short of our expectations. We are our own biggest critics. So, what are my favorite stuff? Well, my favorite stuff, like let's take movies for example. My favorite movies right now are Wolf of Wall Street. That has always been one of my favorite movies of all time. Martin Scorsese is a phenomenal director. Leonardo DiCaprio is wonderful, and Margot Robbie is by far one of the greatest actresses of my time. She made a movie like Suicide Squad actually good. Other than that, I mean, I'm a huge comic person. I've loved comics. I just bought DC Deceased, which is a brand new DC run, like incorporating zombies and whatnot. I love a lot of the Marvel movies. I'm really weird in the sense that I really don't like movies like Thor Ragnarok because of the potential it holds for World War Hulk, and it just really fell short of my expectations. I never fully sat down and watched that fully all the way through. Same with Civil War. I watched bits and pieces of it, enough to know, but never sat down and fully watched it. But movies like Iron Man 1, 2, and 3 were phenomenal. Endgame was phenomenal. Infinity War was great. There's just a lot of great movies out there. I'm even the weird person that likes Batman vs Superman. Granted, I can recognize his flaws. I know it's bad. I know all the things that are horrible with it, but at the same time, it's Batman vs Superman fighting for like 30 seconds in the film, so I was fanboying out pretty hard. Favorite games? I love story narratives. Games like, this is a game that I want to do a walkthrough on. The second one's coming out. It's called Layers of Fear. It's one of my favorite horror games of all time. I really love playing League of Legends. I've dedicated a lot of time to League of Legends. I'm currently lower ranked. I'm gold right now, which is better than most, but it's not where I want to be by the end of the summer, and summer's about to start up. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Other video games I like besides just League of Legends and the Call of Duties and Rainbow Six Siege that you see a lot. I really like a lot of games where you're going to sit down and be immersed, like Sonya's Sacrifice Hellblade. That was a phenomenal game to where I just sat down for, I played a little bit in the stop, but then I sat down for the last portion for like 4 straight hours and just kind of played it and was able to be immersed and was able to feel all the emotions. I love games that can make me feel things that either humanity wants us to neglect and feel, like, boys being sad. There's that stigma that, quote unquote, boys don't cry and whatnot, to where we can feel the sadness and feel the emotions of the characters. Or, we want to feel the happiness and excitement like BioShock Infinite, where there's moments where Elizabeth's being saved, or the ending when we're feeling confused and don't know what's going on, to where there's like the multiverse theory and what's going on there and the different timelines. So I love feeling the emotions that most media doesn't get with me, is those games that really, really, really hits me in the heart. Another favorites is TV shows, I really love Dexter. Dexter's my favorite TV show of all time. Love Breaking Bad, obviously. Never really got into Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is something I've been very passive in watching, in the sense of watching on social media. The reason for that is my introduction was one of my uncles sat me down and said, well, do you like sex, blood, dragons, and medieval stuff? And I was like, yeah. Like, I'm a teenage boy. I'm this really young teenage boy. Of course I'm going to love all that stuff. And he showed me an episode, and I was so confused. I didn't know what was going on. Never gave it the time of day after that because it's 8 seasons long. I don't have a lot of time for that. So there's a little bit about my favorites, about my taste. I really like things that make me feel emotions and make me understand the world or make me think differently and not just kind of day in, day out operations. I don't like that type of stuff. When it comes to gameplays on my channel, for the podcast, for all that type of stuff, I like things I can do quick. So for instance, right now you're watching Call of Duty gameplay. I recorded literally the night I'm recording this audio, which is the night before it's coming out, because everything got lost and corrupted. Those are things that I can sit down, bust out, and then spend the rest of my night working on my more creative projects, like the Ted Bundy movie that's already out, or another movie I want to do. I call them movies, but they're projects. They're like 5 to 10 minutes. Projects on if superheroes should kill in the 21st century and how we should view that. That's one of the things I'm working on currently with after seeing John Wick. I sat down and watched John Wick 2 and 3 recently, which was phenomenal. I love those movies, but there's no real plot. So that's why there's these super, easy bite-sized videos to where they're either cool clips, they're either cool kills, or they're just long formatted gameplay that I can sit down, record in one go, and then easily transport onto here. Outside of that, my more Smithy's a YouTuber I watch. He calls them funtages. Those things I work on in the background. I just now got my audio set up. Right now I'm house sitting, so this audio is not my normal audio, but the audio setup is good to go at my house, and I'm able to actually work on doing those more cool gameplay clips to where I can show cool stuff and I can also show funny stuff and kind of mix and mash it. But sadly, due to my computer crashing, I don't have any of that. So now I want to get into some of the questions that my friends, family, and people on social media have been asking me, and I just want to respond to them one by one with more like heartfelt stuff than I could in a format of text or format of all of that. And obviously I'm going to respond to these people, and they'll know, and or I'll just link to them there to this type of stuff so they can get the answer if they truly want to know. But they were just helping me out for this video segment. So the first question I had was, how do I handle criticism? Well, this channel is a great example of this. I had a buddy of mine we're not super close with, but he asked me, he's like, oh, you're doing YouTube stuff? And I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, how many subscribers do you have? I was like, oh, I honestly don't know. I still don't know to this day. He's like, well, how many views do you get on a video? I'm like, well, a video to me is successful if it's 10. And that's because I really don't care about the views. What I care about is people can enjoy the content that I'm creating. I'm not really making stuff for clicks. I mean, the Ted Bundy thing was, I think, 4 weeks out of the, the movie cycle, or 3 weeks or something like that. And I made it because I was sitting there reflecting, and I wanted to spend a lot of time, sorry about the clock, I wanted to spend a lot of time be able to sit down and actually dissect that movie and digest it and be able to know what I want to do when it comes to that type of stuff. I want to put a lot of work into these videos. I'm just now learning a lot of stuff about editing, but I want to put a lot of time into how I develop a script or how I develop what the scenes I'm choosing or whatever they may be. When it comes to criticism, when people are criticizing my YouTube channel or criticizing the things I say or criticizing whatever I do, like for instance, I want to play at the university I'm going to next year. I want to play at their level for League of Legends, and how I told them I'm never going to be able to do that, or just throughout my life, just criticism. The best way to handle criticism is to always be reflective on it, but don't take it to heart. So you're able to say, hey, Jacob, Skillful Hitman, I really don't like your Twitch streams. I really don't like your YouTube channel. It's pointless, it's stupid, it's not entertaining, and I don't like it. Then great, I'm sorry, you're not my target audience, and that's okay. So what can I do to make it better? Well, the way you can make it better is change your voice, change this, and there's stuff that doesn't matter, then you just let it roll off your back. If it's stuff that matters, like, hey, you know what? I had a buddy of mine say, hey, I don't like Call of Duty. So, here's the games I like. I'm like, great, I will start recording Rainbow Six Siege. I'll start recording this stuff that can attract more people. Even though it may take me longer, it will allow people to enjoy my content more. That's criticism that's good, because I'm making content for people to enjoy. I'm not making it to appease them or to get the views. But if I can put a lot of hard work and time into something, and someone else can enjoy it, That's the whole point about creating content, is to have people enjoy it. So the criticism is something that's very important to and take it to your day-to-day life. Oh man, you sucked at that basketball game. Well, what is it that you'd like to see me do different? Well, your layups, your this, your this. Okay, well, great. Let's walk through that compared to, well, I mean, you just suck. You're the rival team, blah, 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 blah. So that's something that is super important, is how people were able to digest the criticism and not take it to heart or get self-conscious. Because if people got self-conscious, or if I got self-conscious, I wouldn't be posting stuff, I wouldn't be recording stuff, I wouldn't be doing any of the stuff I do, because I'd be so scared and timid. A great example of this is at my school, I'm the ASB president. I ran for that position, and I was going against two popular girls. I got told everything under the sun that I wasn't going to win by a lot of people, that they were going to beat me, and then I had no hope, and I had no chance, and all that type of stuff. I ended up winning. It was a close race, it was a hard-fought race on both ends, and there's no hurt feelings. But if I was to allow that criticism to get to me, I would have just pulled out my pack and said, "Oh, no, I'm not running anymore." So that's how I handle criticism. I'm able to let it resonate, take the information I need from it, and then just let it roll off my back. The next question is, what brands do I follow? Like, am I a brand person? The brands I like when it comes to something like a car, I really love Tesla. I know Elon Musk is like controversial, and he upsets his stockholders all the time. But if I had some free money to throw around, you would bet I would be investing in Tesla. That is a brand that I think will do awesome things, from the Tesla solar stuff, where they're doing the solar panels, to the SpaceX, which I know is different than Tesla, but Elon Musk is kind of in that sphere of all of it. And Tesla with the car, like all that type of stuff, to me is super duper cool. Seen Tesla car. I've never really rode in one or been inside one. That's definitely on my bucket list when I get older. I want to have enough money to be able to buy a Tesla. Other brands I follow, I don't really follow anything when it comes to like computer stuff. I don't really care. I have Dell monitors, an Alienware keyboard, a Razer mouse, a Blue Yeti mic, and a Dell computer. I just bought it because they were what I needed at the time, and I don't really care for certain stuff. Shoes, I like shoes that are wacky, weird, and fun, super colorful. I have been told, I've never been technically tested and confirmed, but I've been told things like I'm colorblind. So that's my excuse for wearing mismatching things like pink shorts and a green hoodie and yellow socks type situation, because I really don't care what people say about it. It's the way I express myself, but it's the way I think it looks good, so that's all that matters to me. So there's no real brands that I truly follow. If we're going gaming systems like consoles, I love Xbox more than PlayStation, but I still recognize that PlayStation right now, PS4 compared to Xbox One, is a far better system. The next question is, what gives me nostalgia? Well, there's a couple games that give me nostalgia. Obviously, the old Call of Duty games. You guys know how much I like Call of Duty. The old Call of Duty games give me more nostalgia than I can even begin to think about. I mean, just the idea of sitting down and playing Black Ops 1 for hours, I could easily do. Those games, I could genuinely devote an entire weekend to sit down and playing. Like the MX vs. ATV games I used to love. There's old movies that I used to, like the Jaws movie, the first Jaws, I was definitely afraid of as a kid. And I know that's not totally nostalgia, but when I think of my childhood, that's one of the things that stands out, was how scared I was. When you're like swimming in a pool and you have your eyes closed. In my head, I always envisioned that there was like a shark following me, and there was a shark behind me as I'm swimming, and I had to outswim the shark or whatever it is. So that was something that had a lasting impact on me. But nostalgia things like the original Xbox, not the Xbox 360, but the original Xbox booting up, that would give me massive nostalgia. There's some places around my city where I can sit down. I mean, that massive nostalgia. There's just one place to where if you walk down a road near mine and you're able to go through some places and you find this little small kind of quote unquote island to where there's a bunch of water surrounding you from a river or a canal, and you're able just to kind of like sit down and look at the sunset and stuff. That stuff right there really just hits me in my heart in certain locations around the city and whatnot. That's the stuff that I'm able to. I mean, recently we went to prom, my girlfriend, me, and my best friend, and we were there like 15 minutes early or 30 minutes early. So we just drove around because it was near some place I used to live. And I was like, look at this, look at this, look at this. I was telling them cool stories and that type of stuff. What brings out the most nostalgia out of me. The next question is how to make the most out of downtime, or what do I do to make the most out of downtime? Well, I try to be creative. I have a bunch of stories that I've written that I want to, show people and make films one day. And I have this cool idea for a horror movie, which I'm obviously not going to talk too much about right now, but Imagine Freddy Krueger, but a less lethal impacting in the real world, but more impactful in the sense that the story would be told. So I have a lot of cool ideas to sit down and actually flesh out for a horror movie and whatnot. I don't like a lot of free time. When I get free time, I either get anxious or I get nervous, and I start thinking more cynicism things or just self criticize myself. I don't like to do that, so when I get my free time, I either will create videos, write scripts, be able to learn something new, learn about, my favorite examples, nuclear fusion. I did a whole thing on that. I try to solve ways to make cigarettes less, lethal. So I spent a whole bunch of time doing that, or just video games. Downtime is meant to be, more free flowing. You're not worried about work or school or the pressures on that. So you're able to kind of sit there and breathe and have your moment to yourself for whatever reason. So that's the best time to use downtime, is to be able to do whatever that makes you happy. So for me, that's create things and or play video games or spend time with my friends. That's what makes me happy, and I do that in my downtime. That's why I make the most out of it. You don't spend any second in sadness or thinking back that you should have done something different. Which leads into the next question: how do I view regrets? Well, obviously in everyone's life there's stuff that you regret, but I like to not think of it with the word regret. I like to think of it a little bit different. So there's no real thing in my life right now, at least I can say confidently, that I truly regret. There's nothing that I can sit there and go, well, man, I wish I would have done this different. I wish I would have done this different. When it comes to decisions, I forgot who said it, but someone said something along the lines of, when you make a decision that's important, think about how 10 years from now self would have wanted you to make that decision. That's how I view my big important decisions, is like, well, how do I want 10 years from now me to look back on this and be proud of the decision? Do I want to go to this party? Is this party something that is going to be beneficial to me? Am I going to make a lot of memories, a lot of cool things? Or is it something where I'm putting myself in harm's way because there's alcohol there, or there's a lot of drugs, or whatever there is? Obviously, I've not been in that situation because I don't hang out with those type of people. Like, if there's a situation to where I need to evaluate to make a very important, impactful decision, that's how I do it. I always look forward and say, how would I look back on this? Because if it's something I look back on and go, well, crap, I'm going to hate this decision, then I just end up normally don't do it. But I'm someone that believes that when it comes to something about regretting something, you're letting that take a hold of you. You're letting that regret, you're letting that self-hatred, you're letting that whatever it is take a hold of you, grab you, and say, hey, you are in anger, you're in sadness, you're in whatever, because of the fact that you did something wrong. Well, in reality, you didn't. You made a decision. Stand by it. That's my viewpoint. If you're going to make a decision, whether it's good or bad, you should stand by it. If you're choosing to drink one night when you shouldn't because you're underage or whatever it is, make that decision and stand by it. Don't flip-flop. Don't dilly-dally. Just make a decision and stand by it. It's as simple as that in my head. Because if you're sitting there and you're always have to constantly second-guessing yourself, you're not having confidence in yourself. You're not believing that you're going to make the right decision. And through life, you should have the confidence in yourself to know what you want. This isn't a decision on how to make other people happy, how to make other people like things, because back to the criticism thing, you're only going to get criticized in life from other people. When you're sitting down and you're looking back on things 5 years, 10 years, or a week from now, and you're thinking about, how Susie or Johnny reacted to your decision, you're not living life for you. Regrets only come, in my opinion, when you're living life for someone else. When you're making a decision or something for someone else. And of course, there is exceptions to this. There's things that you regret. A great example of this is I have someone who I considered an aunt, and she was sick and she passed away. And I obviously beat myself up sometimes from not seeing her. Or my great grandma, I beat myself up from not seeing her more. Those are decisions that I made at the time were stupid, and I know that now. But if I regret it and I let it eat me up inside, I can't move forward from that event and think of the good times I have. A great example of my aunt that passed away. Her and I went to Texas, and she got called my grandma, and to her, that was one of the greatest things in the entire world, because we're not blood related, we're family by choice type thing. And she felt so proud, she felt so honored, and she had this huge smile on her face, and it was just a moment that to me will always resonate in my heart. And I have that with my family members. That's how I view moments, right? which we're going to get into later. But moments to me are something you should be able to cherish or learn from. Those are the two things. You never lose in life if you choose not to lose. Losing means you're beating yourself up, you're getting at a disadvantage, you're not actually being your best self because you're letting something take a hold of you. I don't view it that way. If I lose an election when it was, going through school leadership, that would have been something I learned from. I should have campaigned harder, I should have done this better. And then critique it so the next year I could do better. Or if I lose a basketball game or a football game, well, what is it I could have done better? Let's look at myself. Let's be introspective and figure out what I need to do better so next time I can complete the goal, complete the task, so others can be successful. And I got a question from a friend who says, what drives me to help others? So there's two types of people that view me. So I'm a kid a lot that when I walk around my school, I wear headphones. I get a lot of slack and critique because it looks like I don't actually care or want to tune in. Well, no, when I'm passing in the hallways and that type of stuff, that's me time. That's more time for me to actually think about things going on. My next class is coming up. What I need to be prepared for, what I need to think about. Who is it in that class that I need to talk to? Who might be having a bad day type things. The other side is someone, I do a lot of community service. I do a lot of helping. I do not do, the most. Everyone can improve, but I've done a lot of that type of stuff. So when it comes to what drives you to help others, and the reason why I picked this question is this isn't about me. This is about why should we help other people? Why should we help individuals? And I think that's just because no matter how hard the world, the media, whatever you want to call it, tries to divide us, we are actually super similar, not simple. We are super similar. No matter what skin color you are, what background you have, we can all relate to things like, depression, anxiety, mental health stuff. We can relate to losing a loved one. We can relate to, as simple things as what color is it and what type of colors we like. We can agree to simple stuff, and that can make us more connected. And that connectedness is something that not only will make your life better when you're sitting down and thinking about your life, and you can be more positive because you have those connections with people, rather than, well, I don't like John, I don't like Susie because they think that XYZ policy and politics is better, or they don't like the video game I like, or they say my YouTube channel is stupid, or they don't like my girlfriend, or whatever it is. You're able to connect with more people, and that makes you present to be more likable, which if you're presented to be more likable, then more people are going to want to flock to you, and that will make it easier for you to help people. You're able to be able to text people more, check in on people more, call people more, and that's something I really try to do once a day. I try to ask people how they are, like genuinely, not like, hey, how are you? Good. Oh, that's, like, why are you good? What's going on in your life? Talk to me about it. Because if I can do that, then I can build that connection with someone. So if they have a bad day, which has happened, I can sadly say that this has happened, when I have someone that needs to talk about something going on about their mental health or what's going on in their life, they know that they can come to me because of those connections that we made. Instead of ripping us apart like a lot of people try to do or tearing people down, I'm able to try to bond people together. And that's something I've tried to tell people. And that's what I'm saying right now is not like, look at me. Is like, if you can take one thing from listening to this, if you're still listening to this, is actually try to bond with someone. Take it every single day, try to sit down and think about that. The next one is, if I could accomplish anything in life, no matter how great, what would it be? Well, for me personally, if I had to accomplish anything in life, if I could accomplish one thing in life particularly, and not accomplish really anything else, that would be to... The thing I'd want to do is do one of two things. I'd either want to cure something like cancer, because I've had people that's taken from me, and I've had people that's lives that it's hurt. In reality, when you do something like cure cancer, there is always bigger and badder viruses out there. Super viruses form from that. So that's kind of tough for me to say, because I don't want someone to go through even more suffering than what cancer is. Because I've never had that, but I've seen the lives that is torn apart, and that breaks me. The other thing I wish I could change, but also accomplish, is to say, but also not, is having no one feel sad. I'm a firm believer, and I talked to a teacher about this recently. I'm a firm believer that feeling pain and sadness is necessary in life. While there is things like unnecessary pain, like a breakup, there in some ways that's not unnecessary, because that's what makes you human. Being able to sit down, reflect, and feel that pain makes you know that it's real. If you're only feeling happiness, dopamine receptors can get burnt out pretty easily. We've seen this from heroin addicts. We've seen this from meth addicts. We've seen this from, drug addicts, whatever that is. Or even people that eat a lot of food. Like, they're just constantly burning the dopamines and there's negative repercussions for that. In one world, I would want people to never feel sad or hurt or heartbroken, because that would just mean that more people are beating themselves up and contributing to the suicide rate and contributing to all these type of things. Because there's more people than I could count, sadly, on my hands that I've known that have killed themselves in the past 5 years than I don't. That's a heartbreaking thing to say for me, because, that means we collectively as a world are not doing a good enough job. We really aren't. And the reason why we're not doing a good enough job is really, really sucky. I'm trying to say bad words. Sucky is, I have friends who have little sisters and brothers. I have a little cousin, which I would go to the ends of the earth for, and she's like 8. I'd go to the end of the earth for, and she's growing up in a world to where she's going to feel that pain of suffering, of losing people. And I really wish that I could not have her feel that. Because, I'm not her parent. I'm not super close. She's my cousin. I go try to see her as much as possible. But the reality is we're both busy people. She's a 7 or 8 year old who's always running around, always doing things, is now involved in sports and loves arts and loves school. And I'm a busy teenager. But the reality is she's someone I love and care for so much that I don't want her to grow in a world to where she feels that pain and that heartbreak. Because to me, that means I failed as someone who loves her and cares for her and protects her. So if I had to choose one thing, it'd probably be that. But in reality, the cancer thing to me is super important also. So I can't really choose one thing, but I can at the same time. But the repercussions of that could be even worse. So the world right now is a really bad place. And I want to change a lot of things about it. Elect me president. But at the same time, the ramifications of those decisions and a finger snap like Thanos would be just so horrible that I don't think that I could just cleanly say that I'd change one thing. But if I could change one thing without repercussions, that people wouldn't actually feel sad anymore and still be able to feel human. The next question is, what do I value more, time or money? Without a doubt in my mind, time. A great example of this is, my YouTube channel. I could make things that are super clickbaity. I could make things that are super fun. There's a girl who I'm trying to actually have on the podcast. She made a vlog, and that vlog got, I think, 3 times about 4 times about my normal viewers. Granted, her editing was phenomenal, and her video was actually really, really good. I don't watch a lot of vlogs, and I watched hers, and I was like, dang, this is really good. That's why I want to have her on the podcast, to talk about it and to talk about her life. But I could be doing that formula of vlogs, or, take a gameplay of Fortnite and edit it to hell and make it, absolutely beautiful and whatnot. That's not who I am. I'm a person that really enjoys time. I really, really enjoy the time with people. A great example of this is, my girlfriend lives 3 hours away right now. Currently, she's moving closer, to, living in the same city as me. Very shortly of time recording, it's like less than a month, a couple weeks. Her and I don't really get to see each other that much, but being able to spend the moments that I do with her mean a lot to me, because I'm able to enjoy those moments. I'm able to live in the moment. Time to me is the most important thing in this world because it's limited. You can go and sell all your possessions and be really smart with your money and go to the Gary V lifestyle, which you don't know him, look him up. Gary V lifestyle, and flip stuff and be an entrepreneur. You can go make tons of money without a doubt in my mind. Money is super duper awesome and cool, and it makes things better. Like, you can buy the Teslas and you can go buy the whatevers of the world. But in reality, when you're looking back on your life, you're going to look at the moments you've had. I can name countless moments with my friends like Kai and Roberts and Evan and Maria and Emily and all these people. And there's more, obviously, like Ethan and Nick and whatnot that I can name. But I can sit down and vividly remember times with them that are just, I can't replicate those moments. There's no amount of money that I would do. A great example of this is a buddy of mine, Rio, who I also want to have on the podcast. Rio and I, when we first met, he was a super shy, introverted kid, but Now he's this super political, super loud, super rambunctious kid that everyone knows. And that's not because of me, but there's so many funny moments, growing with him as a person to where now he's super open and fun and honest and all this type of stuff, to where he used to just be a kid that people would make fun of for being weird. But now he owns his weirdness, and there's so many cool things about that I just love. So without a doubt, time is something that to me is irreplaceable, because there's nothing else in this world that value to me. An example in my life is on my 16th birthday, I got asked by my Aunt Rhonda, what do you want for your birthday? And I said, if I had the choice of anything in this world, I don't want money, I don't want a car, I don't want any of this. What I really want is a memory. I want a memory with you. I want a memory with my family. I want a memory that I'm going to remember, because this was when she was going through her chemo stuff and had breast cancer and all those horrible things. And she took out the heart, and she took me and my dad and mom and her on a trip to New York. And I made a video about that. And that video obviously doesn't, truly hold the feelings that I have, but I can't begin to describe all the memories I have from that trip, good and bad. And the bad stuff's going to stick there, and the good stuff's going to be there forever. There's nothing I'd rather have in my life than the memories that I have, because the time I spent with people rather than getting money. Another question is, what would you do if you can do anything right now? Right now, I would like to go back to where I had the podcast originally recorded, and people could watch that, because that was a really good conversation. I'm about to try to replicate that the best I can. But on a more serious note, if there's anything I can do right now, well, right now it's 12:30 in the morning on a Sunday. If there's anything I would do right now, I would like to be hanging out with a lot of my friends rather than house sitting by myself, just because I wanted to do the podcast and upload it and do all this type of stuff. I would really like to be playing video games with my friends, and I would like to be making memories however I could. If there's anything I could do, honestly, in this world, and this is something I really want to do for my birthday, for my 18th birthday, is to have a whole bunch of people over in a big space, like a venue or something, and just be able to sit down and talk with each individual person, tell them how much they mean to me, tell them my favorite memory with them, whatever it is, and just actually have a good time. Granted, I'm not talking about, drinking and doing drugs and whatnot, but just sitting down and having a station where people play video games, play basketball, pick a football game, whatever it is, and just be able to talk with every person that matters to me and tell them how much I love and care for them. So if I could be doing anything in the world right now, that would be the answer. A buddy of mine, I'm going to change the question. I'm going to tell you the original question, then I'm going to change the question. So the original question is, when and how can I donate to your presidential campaign? What I'm going to change it to is, would I run for president? Well, the funny thing is because I'm ASU president of my school, the joke is, I'm gonna be president of the United States. Because I'm super political and I love politics and I love getting in the dirt with politics and talk about the nitty gritty, small things about it. Would I be president? Probably not, if I'm being honest, because I would only be president if I felt like I had a calling to it, until I felt like things were so bad that I needed to step in. And right now things are pretty bad. I mean, there's some things right now in our system that really need to be fixed. And I started writing a book out of just sheer anger on how to fix things. And I'm like 8 chapters in, because I see so many problems, not only with things like our court system and how we handle things like, bailing out the banking system, the repercussions of that, but how we need to fix these small issues that are piling up to hurt the masses of our country. This is not something I think that we should take lightly. There's so many things going on in our world right now that are just so horrific that we just don't talk about. We don't talk about a lot of how we are frequently having people be in poverty, or how we're frequently putting people in jail, and how we're avoiding things in the real world. We're not taking things seriously. Like, a great example of this is I'm not going to obviously talk a lot about my viewpoints here, but let's talk about climate change for a second. I tell everyone this, and I'm not the biggest climate change activist in person, but I will say that when it comes to climate change, I would rather believe that it is real than it isn't real, because allowing that it is real allows for more innovation. I would love to see these awesome, super cool wind turbines be developed, and I'd love to see all these cool solar panels, and I'd love to see all these cool electrical cars. I would love to see more innovation and not the same that I have my entire life of 17 years. That to me is boring, it's bland, it's not what people want to think capitalism is. We should actually be thinking of it as, innovation. We should allow for innovation. And by pushing things like getting cleaner energy, that would allow for more innovation than whatnot. And granted, there's obviously, the cost and whatnot, but to me, the innovation is the most important part of any country or any person. I love to see new things. So long answer short about the president thing. Yes, I would if I felt like I really needed to, but no, not right now. It's not something I feel like I could handle with grace. Another person asked me, what is my career goal? What is something that I want to set forth? I would love to be, right now, a labor law student. I'm going into college with an undecided major. I'm thinking of doing psychology just because of how much I love the brain, and possibly even be a therapist because of how many people not only recommend that, but I the joke is I already am that for a lot of people. So any way to just help a lot of the masses of people, I really want to do something to where I get paid fairly well, because then if I get paid fairly well, I can live a better lifestyle than the one before me, the one I'm growing up. And when I have kids, if I have kids, which I really want to have kids at some point, probably like 10 years from now to 15 years from now, I can look back more than 10 years when I think about it, because I'd put me at 28, a couple years after that. Anyways, I look back on a life that I'm proud of, to where money right now is very important in our society, and it's sad that it is. But, if I have more money, I can have more, memorable events with people traveling. And that's just something to me that I really want. I really want to put a really, 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 really good lifestyle for my kids and future wife. That to me is probably my number one goal in life, is to be able to, be at a financial standpoint to where I can have a wife that can stay at home if she wants to, and have kids, and they can go do all the stuff they want to go do. And I'm able to, I'm not obviously going to do this, but, when they turn 16, buy them a brand new car. Obviously, I'd buy them a cheap used car so they can understand the value of money and whatnot, and the value of worth, and the value of taking pride in ownership. But, having the ability to do something like that to me is super important. But at the same time, my number one goal somehow is to affect people's lives in a positive light. And obviously not a negative light, because negative is so much easier to do in today's society. That's it for a lot of the questions. Everything else is just more about me. My dad's being a police officer, my mom being a hairdresser, me being 17, living in society and whatnot. And we can get to those later when I'm doing interviews with people, because I don't want to share too much, because if I share too much, then, that kind of takes away all of it. I want to talk a little bit about what the summer is going to look like for things like my channel. So I'm getting a job, and the job's hours is 7 a.m. till 3:30 p.m. every single day, Monday through Friday with weekends off. So I'm hoping to still post a podcast every single Sunday, because I should have enough time to get gameplay footage and interview. And hopefully I'm looking to make a space to sit down and have a video recording, so it's not just gameplay, so more people can see the facial reactions and how animated I am in real life. That to me is super important. It's what I'm working on. On top of that, my goal is to have around 2 to 3 videos a week. If I can get 3 done, I don't know how taxing this work is going to be. If I can get 3 done, then I'd love to do 3. I'd like to do like a funny moments gameplay, or a cool moments gameplay, or my best moments in the gameplay of the week. And then I'd like to do a podcast, and then I'd like to do a film breakdown, a game review. Hopefully this week, since this is Sunday, the Wednesday or Friday, I can come out with a review of a video game. Hope you guys watch that. But I want to do more stuff like the Ted Bundy breakdown, but more relevant things. That's why I want to talk about the superhero thing, the thing I'm working on, to where superheroes should kill or not. That to me is super important. It's a creative outlet for me. And then I want to do the podcast where I interview more people and do more, and try to hopefully find a host that can be a co-host when we get to that point, once the interviews kind of run short. And then the interview would be either bi-weekly or tri-weekly. And we can have a permanent host where we can talk about current events. So like my girlfriend, when she moves back down here, up here from her location, we can sit down and actually talk about current events, and hear 2 perspectives, or even some of my best friends. We can all sit down and talk. I want to be able to do more things to where we can not only talk about current events, but I can do the interviews. Interviews are super important to me. I love telling people stories. That to me hits home for a lot of reasons, of just being able to make people's stories that I feel are super important out there. If you have any recommendations for people's stories, that's great. I've reached out to a bunch of people. Some of them don't feel comfortable, and I totally understand. It's a lot of possible vulnerability, but the people that do, it's always a fun time. It's always a blast. I love doing that type of stuff. And I hope that you guys like the more creative stuff. I don't really want to stop it anytime soon with the movie stuff, the gameplay stuff. That to me is going to be the staple of my channel moving forward right now. I want to start Twitch streaming also. So Twitch streaming 2 to 3 videos a week. That's what the summer is going to look like for the entertainment standpoint. I want to get more active on social media with Instagram posts and Twitter posts and whatnot. That's what the summer is going to look like. A lot of content pumping out weekly. At the bare minimum, you guys will get some streams and a podcast every single week. If you guys like that, please let me know. Please let me know what the things you want to hear about, talk about, whatnot. At the most, you can get 3 videos a week and some streams. We'll just see how much I want to actually dissect into things or discuss things, and how much how long it takes for me to edit the gameplay stuff. So it might be different 1 week 2, 1 week 3, and whatnot. But to me, moving forward, I want to post a lot more creative content, a lot more different content. And I hope that you guys stick around for the ride. If you've stuck around for this long, you know a lot about me now. If you have any more questions, leave them in the comment down below. Hit me up on Twitter. I'm JacobSki10. Otherwise, all my stuff on all the gaming stuff is always Skillful Hit. Let me know if you guys want to have anyone else on the podcast, or if you guys want to see any more type of content, anything else. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Next week will be the normal podcast with someone. I have a bunch of people lined up to sit down and interview and pump out a bunch of them. So hopefully, might even get 2 a week, 2 a week for a couple weeks there. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, we have more podcasts, we have more videos out a week, and the computer will be perfectly running from here on out.